Amy, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it.
And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So today, I was hoping to get really your perspective on the business, particularly as the CFO of one of the world's largest technology companies.
Yeah.
And the fact that the decisions you make every day, daunting as they may be, have global impact. Yeah. And really thinking about technology and how that enables the decision-making, particularly for your role, your team, as well as your peers in the industry.
I don't think I'm really unique. The more conversations I have with my peers or chief digital officers or CMOs more like yourself, is that you end up realizing that the basic needs that you want from technology are actually quite similar.
Interesting.
Increasingly, I think I hear a couple of things. Number one, I need to get information that's holistic.
Yes.
And I think what they mean, and I mean when I say that, is the days when, even 5 years ago when I started this job, I was actually quite comfortable getting siloed reports. But increasingly, the conversation started to pivot, and I think it's pivoted everywhere, from this view of product-central reporting to this concept of customer-centric reporting.
Yes.
And when you think about customer-centric reporting, it requires common data frames, common access, common terminology, and real data governance. It also means that I want to be able to understand the health of everything that touches that customer, whether it's all the way to a back office experience that people may think around billing or the commerce engine, fraud or protection, whether it comes to account management, all the way to sales engagement, to product support, to service, to field operations. You can go down the list and you realize no matter what your leadership seat was, the demand was, oh gosh, now what I need is a holistic view of the data estate, a holistic way to interact with that data with confidence in both its master management, but also its terminology and governance. And then, of course, that frankly, it was accessible to the actual decision makers, as opposed to just leadership, which is another, I think.
Well, that's a good point. It's how do you enable the entire organization?
Yes, and the real answer is to enable broad, empowered, holistic, end-to-end decisions made not at the corporate center, but made on the front lines with such high confidence and speed and agility. Then, of course, you'd say, and gosh, I just can't go through another 5-year deployment cycle.
In today's environment, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and the bill that comes with it doesn't work. So you want someone who's trusted, who actually has a broad view of the landscape, who's known for innovation and having sort of a durability to their worldview, and of course, actually can get time to value done.
That makes sense.
So that really you can feel not like a 2 or 3 or 4 year journey that you're on, but there's quick wins.
Well, that's excellent. And we, as a company, Microsoft, has really taken a pretty big pivot on Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. For many of the reasons that you've talked about. You know, taking data out of silos, being proactive, not reactive, having that holistic view of the customer. Tell us a little bit more about, as we think about Microsoft generally, how does Dynamics and the Power Platform fit into the strategy?
It's interesting. I think this actually is, people who've heard me on the earnings calls along with Satya, I think have heard our passion around this topic. And I think I love this opportunity to really explain where that passion comes from.
Would love to hear that.
And it's because I think so many of us have been thought of as reporters. I'm reporting an outcome. I'm reporting on this. And that could be anything. Your payroll system all the way to a financial system. You're reporting the past. And frankly, what I am becoming increasingly confident in, really because of Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and the vision that the team has put forward, is it is fundamentally about projecting the future so that all of us can make decisions to positively change predictive outcomes. So it's not that a machine will tell me what will happen. The machine will aid in the decision-making, aids my understanding of what action I as a human can next best take.
So you talked about time to value. One of the things that it would be great to hear from you is, part of what plagued us before in business applications is this notion of rip and replace. You've got to take the whole system out, and that ties into your 5-10-year journey of take out all of your investments, bring in new investments. One of the things that you in finance, you have SAP as our core financials, but you are using Dynamics in addition to that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The reality is that Dynamics 365 for us is it fits the criteria I gave earlier. How can I get a quick time to value? How can I have something that our users fundamentally understand out of the box in terms of its application to their life? We can go through some examples.
Right.
Our commerce team on fraud. This is a problem, frankly, across every company that we meet.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's a great area for us.
Retailers, universally, how do you predict?
Across our system. So for us, I think it was one of the first logical places for us to start to invest. And I might even say, it's hard not to mention Power BI. For us, of course.
Right. On analyzing data.
It's sort of what we do. It's core to our mission in finance. But what people may not realize is we really do use it to surface even some of our modern forecasting tools that we've built inside Azure. So for us, it's about Power BI is almost the user interface.
And being able to embed other productivity tools.
And so it lets us, I think, in some ways showcase the predictive nature through a common tool. People understand. They love to use it on mobile because the experience is terrific.
Absolutely.
What it does ultimately is change the culture of the team. And I sometimes think people don't appreciate it.
That's such an important element. Like we talk about digital transformation and people don't realize how valuable the cultural aspect is.
It's quite different.
Right.
If you think about, I tell people all the time, 6 years ago, we rewarded people in finance for how much they knew. Like off the top of their head, how many numbers did they memorize? How quickly could they answer a question? And the reality is that's the exact opposite of really what you ought to be rewarding in any company that wants to focus on customer outcome.
That's a good point.
What you want to focus on is, wait a second, how available was that information to all of the people who needed to make great decisions?
The accessibility of it.
Yes, it is about literally leveling the playing field for impact. It wasn't about who you knew. It's no longer about who you can call. It isn't about how long you've worked here. It's really about having everybody be able to see the same information and be able to make the same amount of impact both on their customer inside these walls. And so when we talk about, it's so fun for me because we talk about digital transformation, we talk about the role of business applications, but really the role of these things is how it changes the company itself.
And I think the thing too is I'm going to come back to that connected aspect because one of the things that I think is so unique is it isn't siloed and it can't be departmentally siloed.
No.
So your sales team has to know the same information that the customer service team has, that the back-end supply and vendor management team. And so being able to have that holistic view.
When I talked about in the beginning, no, I want to see every interaction we've had with a customer, not me.
Right.
I want the support team to have the context. I want my Xbox team to have the context. I want my Azure team to have that same context. And when you lack the context, frankly, you don't make great decisions.
Right.
And this is where I think you have to look in the mirror as a leader. If you haven't enabled your teams to see that interflow of information, it's hard to say you've let your people run in a digital way.
Right. In a modern
It's not just taking an application and making it mobile. It's not just taking the old process and running it in the cloud.
Right.
It's really about rethinking access, org design, information flow.
Absolutely.
And then letting the application, which I think what Dynamics does so well, let the application support that as opposed to define your workflow for you.
Right. Amy, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.